Landon Dickerson.
Welcome back into the Sean and Sean podcast. How you guys doing today? I think we got some updates on our equipment, so hopefully it works out. We got some new mics, rocking on a little bit of different camera setup. So we're hoping everything works out. I mean, we'll go with it. Same two dudes though, giving our amateur opinion on football. All right, Sean. Step into the area and let everybody know what's up.
Hey guys, welcome back. We missed you, football family. Like Sean was saying, it's the same two guys, it's the same two amateur opinions, but hopefully this week we're coming to you with better audio quality. That's our hope. So thank you for joining us. If you're new to the show, come on in, take your shoes off, make yourself at home, but keep those socks on, okay?
Well, I mean, if the socks stink, we might need to keep them shoes on too. Get you some of those like little baggies to put on the shoes.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you got holes in your socks,
don't need you to Rick James my couch.
No. If you got holes in those socks too, you better keep your shoes on. Okay, I don't got time for that. I don't want to see that.
So, to begin on, we're gonna start with the big news. This guy's had big news a couple of times. J.J. Watt has chosen to sign with the Arizona Cardinals. Now I know nothing can be done until the new league year, and maybe JJ decides something. I don't know about that, but I doubt he's going to do that. He seems like a reputable guy, so he's going to join his former teammate Newt Hopkins over in the desert.
Yeah, and I think J.J. Watt can sign earlier because he was released from his contract. It wasn't as if his contract was expiring, so I think he's free to sign with Arizona right away and doesn't have to wait for the new league year to start. But he agreed to a 2-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals worth $31 million. Now, granted, we don't know what those guarantees look like or how it's going to impact the cap this year, but I gotta say right off the bat, this is a great move by the Arizona Cardinals. We're thinking, even if Watt is not the elite pass rusher he once was, or elite pass rusher, I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable there, he is still feared by offensive coordinators and offensive linemen alike. Last year, he was double teamed on nearly 1/3 of the defensive plays he was in on, and that's going to be a huge benefit for Chandler Jones when he's coming back healthy in this 2021 season. Just imagine.
Let's be honest here. J.J. Watt, let's say he's down to 75%. 75% of what he was is a Pro Bowl player.
Absolutely. Maybe a Pro Bowl player at multiple positions, yeah.
Yeah, there's elite, and then there's what J.J. Watt was.
Yeah, J.J. Watt has his own level. I mean, I feel bad for the quarterbacks in the NFC West now, because you get to face J.J. Watt, who's won Defensive Player of the Year, 2-3 times by himself. And then another team in the division has Aaron Donald, who himself has won 2-3 Defensive Player of the Years. It really is a horrible time to be a quarterback in the NFC West, especially if your name is Russell Wilson, if you've already been complaining about your offensive line. It just got worse.
Or a guy named Jimmy G, who gets injured by being just touched.
Yeah. And they have Matt Stafford, the new guy in the division, and he chose really a wrong time to get traded. So it's going to be rough.
We'll see what happens. Now, moving on to something that's not as much fun. We get to knock the Washington football team, which, I love to knock them. First, I'm going to go with this name tease. I don't know what it is, but it's just like, you guys had a year. I mean, I could have gave you a name in 2 weeks. You guys had a year. Come on. Now, the main reason why we're knocking him is Alex Smith. I'm sorry, this dude battled back. He came out, and you just gonna cut him? He looked real good in your offense. I get it. The dude's on like a scrambled leg. But at the same time, you gotta have that discussion internally You gotta convince him that like it's a good idea for you guys to part ways.
Yeah, in a recent interview that Alex Smith had, I think it was with GQ, he was on record saying that many people in that Washington organization didn't expect him to recover from the injury, let alone get back to the point where he could step back on the field again. I think he even went as far to say is that there were people in the franchise that didn't even want him to return because he was going to ruin their plans. And shame on Washington for really. I don't know. It obviously wasn't Dwayne Haskins, right? Wasn't him.
What are these plans?
But shame on Washington. Like, Alex Smith was the football feel-good story that we needed in 2020. I mean, I can appreciate everything that he overcame. Now, while I may not have experienced the same kind of injury that he did, I know what it's like to build myself back up from scratch. I did it twice. Once after a car accident, another time after pneumonia. You're getting rid of the comeback player of the year. I mean, Alex Smith could have gone on the field last year, and he could have pulled the Nate Peterman and thrown 6 interceptions in every game that he played, and he still would have gotten votes for comeback player of the year just for everything that he overcame. I know, he did so much better, and shame on Washington for releasing him and making him even think that he wasn't worthy to be back in that organization, because it's not that great to begin with, so you need something there. And Alex Smith gave you a feel-good story. He gave attention, good attention, to Washington, not this Dan Snyder attention, not this team name and the whole fiasco that's going on with that attention. He gave them good attention, and what do they do in return? Well, we don't want you around. We didn't want you around. We're hoping you'd fail. Goodbye. I hope he finds a good home. I hope he finds a good team. You know, maybe he's going to be a mentor to a young quarterback. Maybe he can go to Jacksonville. You know, pair back up with his college head coach, Urban Meyer. Maybe mentor the expected #1 pick, Trevor Lawrence. Maybe he goes to Chicago. He gets back together with Matt Nagy after the days in Kansas City from quarterback coach and offensive coordinator, that time they had together. Maybe he goes back to San Francisco, depending on how they're really looking at quarterbacks, the team that drafted him #1. I could also see him going to New England. Doesn't he seem like a player who could fit that Patriot way?
He could.
Yeah.
He could.
He's got a lot of options out there. I hope he gets one. It may not be that starter for a couple of years, because there will be those concerns about his leg and how he will recover if that leg gets hurt again or injured again in the future. But I hope some team picks him up, gets him in a good spot, does better than what Washington did. You know, I can't even say their team name. I'm not even going to say them. It's going to be that franchise I don't want to mention on the East Coast. There we go.
All right, so on to our first segment. We're going to continue our draft segment.
Yes.
This week it is interior offensive lineman. And so I'm going to start off. And my number 5 guy is Landon Dickerson out of Alabama. And this guy, he's more of just a solid guy. He's going to come out there, he's going to do his job, he's not going to look dumb, he's not going to get completely overpowered. He's your general secure, solid guy who probably become a starter for many years. I don't know if he's going to be a Pro Bowl or anything like that, but he's a guy that you can put in to anchor your line.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I also have Landon Dickerson as my number 5 interior offensive lineman for this draft series, and I'm really glad to see that you're showing some love to the Alabama team. Just want to throw that out there real quick.
I don't hate on Bama.
Glad you're showing them some love.
The one player that.
No, but yeah, I have Dickerson, my number 5 guy. He's got quickness, and actually he doesn't. He doesn't have the same quickness or agility as the other offensive line prospects. He may not be the strongest, but what he does have is good fundamentals, good intelligence, and good technique. And I think for an offensive lineman, especially in the interior, if you have that good technique, you can gain that strength. But technique's a little bit harder to learn. I think one of the concerns for him, though, coming out of college, is that medical history. I know teams are going to do a lot of looking into that medical history, because he had 3, maybe 4 seasons shortened because of injuries. 3 at FSU alone, then he transferred to Alabama. I mean, this past year he played 11 of the games for Alabama, and then he got injured in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
But I think he might have that durability tag on him, so he may not go as high just because of the concerns. But
speaking of durability, my number 4 guy has a bit of a durability concern coming out. He was voted as a top tier tackle, but because of injuries, a major injury, he is, considered more of a guard now. He's fallen down the ranks. But the guy I'm talking about is Trey Smith from Tennessee. This dude has all the ability in the world. Athletic. He has technique. It's just how healthy is he, and how much are those injuries going to affect how he already has, what already has happened to him throughout the years. Is that going to take away from that athletic ability that he once had? Who is your number 4 guy, Sean?
All right, my number 4 guy is going to be Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma. So overall, he's been solid for the past couple of years, and he has the leadership and the toughness that you want to see on an offensive line. He was a 3-year starter. He was a 2-year team captain. He's going to be a little bit better in the pass protection than he will be in the run blocking, but he finishes those blocks with good intensity. And I know some people are going to feel like he should have returned for his senior year, thinking he's just solid and he doesn't have that star potential. But you can have a pretty good career when you're just solid and you have leadership and toughness. That can still lead to a good career. That can lead to Super Bowls too, so don't count this guy out.
See, here's the thing. I agree with you, and I think Creed Humphrey, he had this big billing at the beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden people soured a little bit, and I think it's been a different type of year for a lot of these guys, and that's why Creed Humphrey is my number 3 guy on my list. I think Creed Humphrey's going to be a stud. I think he's a guy who's extremely athletic, if he's in the proper system, and that's where I worry. If Creed Humphrey has to be drafted by the correct team. If he gets drafted by the correct team, then it's going to go a long way for him to be very good in that league. So for number 3, who are we going with?
All right. Now, it's funny because you and I are swapping 3 and 4. Because my number 3 guy is Henry Louis Trey Smith III. All right. Like Sean was mentioning, he's got a lot there to like. He's got the size you're looking for on the inside. He has potential, but maybe he's not going to be your day 1 starter. I know some scouts have the concerns about his technique, but that's going to be the responsibility of the offensive coaches, whichever team drafts him, to make sure that they're going to build him up and build that technique up. So the team that drafts him may want to spend some time on the fundamentals. That way he's more prepared for the caliber of defense he's going to be facing in the pros. But he's my number 3 guy.
Very nice. So, all right, so going through there, I mean, they can be interchangeable for us. So, I mean, I don't mind it. I'm not hating on the opinion there. Now, coming up, it's going to get a little weird. So, my number 2 guy is Josh Myers from Ohio State. I'm giving Ohio State some love here. I like that offensive line of Ohio State. I think they've done a really good job in the recent years. Josh Myers is one of those guys who's just going to come in and do his job. He is athletic. He does have solid technique, but it's just I think they're coached very well at Ohio State. That's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, they have good coaching there, because my number 2 guy, Wyatt Davis, Ohio State. So he's a guy who's going to be a little bit better in the run blocking game than he will be in the pass blocking. So, I mean, you're really a team that's heavy with the offense, with running on the offense will be good for him. Maybe like a Baltimore, maybe a Tennessee, that could be good. He's got strength, he's got toughness, but he doesn't have as much quickness as you're looking for. So it's going to be a little bit harder for him to keep up with those quicker pass rushers. and he may need a little bit of help in that pass protection, but there's a lot to like with him. He's my number 2 guy. Who do you got number 1?
Funny thing you say he's your number 2 guy, because Rashawn Slater, actually, I'm going to edit that out. Funny thing you say he's your number 2 guy, because Wyatt Davis is my number 1 guy. This guy, he's been a stud since he's been there. I just think back to the movie The Program. His father's in it, and and instead of killing the quarterback, he's the one protecting the quarterback from the guys that his father would have been playing in those movies. But no, the dude is a stud. Like, he's my one guard that, like, I've got a true first round grade on. So he's my one interior lineman I have a true first round grade on. So there's that.
All right.
Now, to note, I know who you got coming up as your number 1 overall. I will say this, Wyatt Davis would be my number 2 guy overall, but I'd have to push certain guys down because there are 2 other guys that I think would work better as guards. I just have them listed as tackles.
Is one of those guys Elijah Vera Tucker?
One of them is Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yep. So
he would be number 3 on my list.
Ooh, he would have been number 2 on my list. He would have been before Wyatt Davis.
I value Davis more than you.
Hey, that's fine.
But
that's fine.
We are. You teased it last week, so we already know who's coming up to be number 1.
You already do. I held you in suspense as long as I could, but my number 1 guy for the interior offensive line, Rashawn Slater, Northwestern. Excellent athlete. He has quickness. He has agility. The reason he wasn't on my tackle list last week is because some people think he's going to be better on the interior, either a guard or center. And he's played all those positions. He has a lot of versatility. He may not be as strong, but he's going to give you some good run blocking. He's going to give you some good pass blocking too. And as Sean mentions last week, that 2019 tape against Defensive Rookie of the Year, Chase Young, looked really impressive. So he's got that on his resume, which is really nice.
Yeah, but Chase Young ain't one of them interior dudes. As great as Chase Young is, some of them big beasts inside are some of that strength. We got to see how he can hold up with that. Yeah.
And before I move on, I just want to make a point that The Program is probably one of my favorite football movies that I've seen.
How could it not be?
One of these future pods, we're going to have to do a top 5 list. What are your top 5 football movies? And we'll do my top 5 and we'll compare.
Most definitely. We'll get that on a fun day.
Yes.
All right, so starting up for our next segment. So we're going to do... this is a departure from our free agency. We're going to do our linebackers later on. But we want to do something real fun first. So we're going to go through a bunch of players who are set to be free agents right before the franchise designations. So we're going to say, what should a team or will a team sign, franchise, or release? Or I guess not sign, but you get the point. It sounds better to say release.
It's more fun to say release.
As you see from the jersey, and me representing, our first guy on the list is Dak Prescott. So if anybody's actually know me or listen to this, you know where I'm going.
You're going to say release him. I get it.
To be signed. I'm not wasting time. Sign him. I hear talks of going good. So I'm going to go with that. I have no doubts.
I have to agree with you. If I'm Dallas, I'm going to sign Dak Prescott. They really put themselves in a tough spot by slapping the franchise tag on him last year, and it's really unfortunate that he had injured last year, which may complicate those long-term negotiations. So who knows if he's going to get those 4 to 5 years that he really wants, but Man, if Dallas is going to slap a second franchise tag on him, it's going to be for $37
They don't
million.
want to.
I know, just avoid that. You should have signed him to a long-term contract at least a year ago, if not sooner, and you could have avoided all this. If they had been...
There's so much going into this that people don't get.
I know.
But it's okay. It's okay.
If they had been overly aggressive like Philadelphia was with Carson Wentz, then it wouldn't be an issue right now.
All right, so my next guy here, personally, because of other things on this roster, I don't think they can afford. They've traded for him. I don't think they can afford to let him go, considering that they've got another guy on the roster who's leaving. This is for the Baltimore Ravens, Yannick Ngakoue. They have Matt Judon who's leaving, so I'm gonna say franchise. I don't think they'll be able to sign him, at least not at first. So they'll franchise him, maybe get a contract before the season. Where are you going with Yannick?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you can lock him up to a long-term contract right away, that's the thing that you want to do. The franchise tag is going to be the second. Let Matt Judon walk, but you got to keep Yannick Ngakoue. Did he play well enough last year to really warrant that franchise tag? I mean, you can argue that he didn't. Especially if it comes down to this being applied as a second franchise tag. But like I was mentioning last week, your pass rushers come at a premium. It's one of those spots that you're going to commonly overpay for. And let's face it, Baltimore has to stop letting their pass rushing talent leave. They have to retain somebody. It's like a revolving door, and I think they're going to make that stop with Yannick Ngakoue. I want to see him do that long-term deal. But if not, that franchise tag has to be a second serious option for him.
All right, so moving on. So we're pretty hand in hand right now. But moving on. All right, so this next one, I think Carolina needs to find a way to sign Taylor Moton. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. This is just what it is. He's too young. He's too good for you just let walk out the door. And who else is on your offensive line? Like honestly, like, where are you going?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he's 26 years old. He's one of the best right tackles in the game. Franchise tagging a right tackle may not be worth it because they don't command as much money as a left tackle does, but really all the offensive linemen are grouped together when it comes to that franchise tag. So you're not going to pay him, I think it's going to be like $14 million or something. You're not going to pay him $14 million a year. But you got to sign him to a long-term contract, whether Teddy Bridgewater's your quarterback, whether you're doing that trade for Deshaun Watson, because I really predicted that a couple weeks ago and have been pushing for that one. So come on, Carolina, prove me right. Whichever scenario you're going, you need a reliable offensive line, and he's the guy that you need on it. Sign him to a long-term contract, give him the money he deserves, and continue on with getting Deshaun Watson.
All right, so the next guy, I think, is where we're going to differ. So it's Allen Robinson of the Bears. And here's where we're going to differ. I don't think he's going to be worth it to franchise. And I don't think he's going to let the Bears sign him. So I've got Allen Robinson walking from the Chicago Bears.
That's a very real possibility. I think with the franchise tag, Robinson would be set to earn a little bit over $16 million this year. Not saying he's not worth it, but are the Bears willing to pay that? He's not likely to sign a long-term contract with them, but the Bears need him because without him, they're going to become even worse. So I have the Bears slapping the franchise tag on him, but wait, I have them flipping him to the New York Jets in a trade to get Sam Darnold, maybe a pick or two in return, and that way they can let him leave and get something for it.
Oh, look at you!
I got my GM hat on today. Yeah.
I think the next one's an easy one for both of us. It's Justin Simmons. I think we both got him being signed. Don't complicate this. He's one of your best players.
He is. I mean, how many complete safeties are there like Simmons in this game? Let alone who's going to be available in this round of free agency. There's not going to be many. He's going to get paid like one. I mean, the past couple of seasons under head coach Vic Fangio, he's put up 9 total interceptions. He's got 90-plus tackles per season. Made the Pro Bowl last year. Excellent tackle, excellent tackler, good against the run. I mean, he played under the tag last year. I think the complications going to come in. Are they going to pay him enough money that he wants? You should. Do I think it happens? I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that franchise tag to give him more time to negotiate that long-term contract.
I also think we're going to agree on the next one. It's Kelly Galladay. Now, I might want to rethink his situation, but I have a hard-pressed time thinking that Detroit's not going to sign Kenny Galladay. You got Marvin Jones, who's going to probably be walking out the door. You know, Kenny Galladay is a must, especially considering they've got a new quarterback. They need Kenny Galladay there.
They need something there. You have a new quarterback. He has no toys to throw to and play with over there, so you got to give him something to work with. Do I think it's Kenny Galladay? I think a more likely scenario could be Galladay getting hit with a tag and trade, maybe to a team.
So you got franchising of Kenny Galladay, huh?
And then trading. Maybe it's to the New York Jets if it doesn't work with the Bears. Maybe it's to San Francisco, a team that needs wide receiver help. Maybe that team that you like in Jacksonville can pull off a trade for him. How would you like that for Trevor Lawrence to throw to? But I think a smarter move for Detroit would be sign Marvin Jones because he's reliable. He's going to be cheaper than Galladay is, and then pair him with an offensive weapon at that number 7 spot in the draft. And that's what I'd do if I were Detroit.
Be very interesting there. So the next guy, I know the team itself doesn't have many weapons, but I just can't see him staying with the team. You know, the injury issues, the suspension last year. I see Will Fuller as gone.
Gone. Nope. Move on. Okay.
You agree with this statement?
Move on.
I thought you'd agree with that, actually.
Yeah. As it turns out, they're going to move on.
I mean, it only makes sense, you know. They just...
It's, how many full seasons has he played in the NFL? None. He's got none. He has the hamstring problem that has really hamstrung his career. See what I did there? Did you like that?
The puns.
I mean, he did well last year, but you also have to remember he got popped with a 6-game PED suspension. How many of those games were good because he was good, or how many it was because the performance-enhancing substance that he had? And he still has one game to serve with that suspension, so he's going to open up the season suspended. Let him go.
I'm not going to knock him on saying that he wasn't good because of that. I'm just saying, like, you know, it seems like one of those situations that needs to have a divorce.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, the next one, I got franchise. Hunter Henry, I just see this more of a franchise situation. He's been injured also, but he's been really good for them. Good for a young quarterback. Keep him around another year, and maybe next year, you know, just let him out and test the waters.
Yeah, when I think of Hunter Henry, I remember that last year the Chargers had franchise tagged him as well. So if they do it again this year, it's going to be nearly $13 million that they're paying him. That would make him the second highest paid tight end in football right after Travis Kelce. And when I think about it, does he give me number 2 in the NFL, number 2 tight end in the NFL production? He doesn't. I would be very afraid to slap the franchise tag on because it's $13 million. You're not going to get that production from him. But if you can get him a long-term contract, maybe, you know, give him 4 or 5 years, maybe give him the length that he's looking at with a deal, you can bring down that average annual value. Maybe you can get him from somewhere it's like $9 to $12 million, but
I don't know if I see it happening.
Yeah, I think I predicted that he was gonna, when he played the game a couple weeks ago about where could he go if he walked, I said Jacksonville, and I think I'm still pretty solid on that one. I still feel confident. But if I were the Chargers, I'd try and lock him up. He's a good target for Justin Herbert as long as he can stay healthy.
He is.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. So next up, we have Marcus May. And I think if they're going to keep this player, the Jets, they're going to have to franchise him. They're going to have to. Because they want to keep him. They need to keep him. They need to keep some sort of playmaker on their team, but they need to franchise him. I don't think they're going to be able to sign him. I don't think he's going to want to stay in New York.
Maybe things are going to change with Robert Saleh. Maybe things are going to change with the new head coach, but I agree with you to the point that he has probably been the most consistent player on that Jets defense for the past couple of years, and they need to keep him, so he should be a priority for that defense. They have the need, and they have the money to spend. I don't see a reason why you don't lock him up to a long-term deal.
Other than his want.
Well, I mean, the franchise is changing. The organization is changing. There's going to be... It's a lot different from Adam Gase. Now, if Adam Gase were still the head coach, yeah, gone, walk, yeah.
We'll see about this. All right, next player. They're going to want to sign. I just struggle with this one. I'm actually going to go sign.
Sign?
Because we got two players here coming up. Same team. I'm going to go sign with this one because this one's more important than the other one. Even though the other one, I like him a lot. But I'm going to go sign here.
Are you signing Shaq Barrett?
And the Shaquille Barrett is the player that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I would sign Shaq Barrett. I wouldn't let him leave. He's played, 2 years on one-year contracts. Last year he was franchise tagged by the Buccaneers. I mean, ever since he came over from Denver, I don't know if it was just the defense that Tampa Bay was utilizing, having Todd Bowles there, maybe being better than the defensive coordinator that he had in Denver, but whatever it was, he's just been lights out these past couple of seasons.
I think it's opportunity.
Very well.
Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. He was given the opportunity. He ran away with it. He absolutely ran away with it. And when teams figured it out, he still found a way to wreak havoc on the game. I think that you got to sign him long term. He's so important to your defense.
Now, that being said, he is very important. But we did see a decrease, something that might give them pause. We did see a decrease in his production when Vita Vea was not in the lineup. Vita Vea comes back for that Packers game. All of a sudden, the Bucs defensive line is like wrecking crew. Sorry, I didn't mean to make the jab.
I'm going to have nightmares tonight. Thank you.
Vita Vea's flowing hair running after Sean.
Oh, man.
All right, so the next guy up, I'm calling it release, but they want to keep him, but they won't keep him. It is Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's going to go to another team. He's going to be a legit number one, and he's just going to be a stud.
Depending on the cap situation, I can see Tampa Bay franchising him, keeping him around at least for one more year. He was pretty important to Tom Brady. I mean, they have a lot of offensive weapons there, so letting him walk away wouldn't be the worst thing it would be pretty bad, but it's not going to be the worst thing because you still have some talent there at wide receiver. So, but I would try franchise him, keep him around for one more year, see if we can lock him up to a long-term deal after that.
All right. So that is a little fun, sign, franchise release segment.
Yeah, and
I forgot, this is on me, I forgot to put up our other graphs beforehand, so I'm going to put our draft graphs up so you can see again. There's my 5 right there. All right, next is Sean's 5. And here's our sign, release, just the whole shebang for both of us.
Whole shebang, and we're 1 week into the franchise tag period, and to my knowledge, I mean, it's Tuesday. Nobody's locked the franchise tag.
That's it. All right. So for our next segment, we're going back to our free agency segment. Our next, our first guy up, is Levante David. I have him going to the Detroit Lions. This is a team that desperately needs linebackers. They should have a little bit of money. You know, I know they took on some contracts, but they still should have some money. So I got them picking up some Levante David help.
Yeah, so this section here, we're talking about off-ball linebackers, so our non-edge linebackers. Levante David, I've got to say, he's been one of the better linebackers in the game throughout his career. And dare I say that this man is underrated. I think he's been to one Pro Bowl, made one All-Pro team. I'll have to double-check that. But he has been underrated for most, if not all, of his career. This guy's a tackle machine. He's got great coverage skills. He is a true three-down linebacker for you. Respected leader on that defense. He's a key figure. Now, unfortunate for him, Tampa Bay also has a younger player who fits that same mold on the roster in the name of Devin White. So, Levante's past 30. This might be his final contract. He would want to get paid and play for a Super Bowl contender. So I have him going to the Dallas Cowboys to help that linebacking unit because really, Jalen Smith, Van Der Esch, they're not getting it done. They're coming off bad seasons. They're coming off injury-filled seasons. So, yeah, I'm going to Dallas. They need some help on defense.
Dallas does need help on defense. Now, note from my understanding of the team, I'm not sure Dallas would be the greatest place for him because of the defensive tackle play, but we'll see how that goes there. So the next player that we have up is Eric Wilson of the Minnesota Vikings. This guy came out of nowhere last year, kind of, and posted career numbers. He was kind of a stud. You know, interceptions. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but he actually, I can find.
I got him for you. I got him for you.
Oh.
Yeah, stats look good. 122 tackles, 8 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 3 interceptions, 8 passes defended. This guy is a turnover machine. I think that's what they called him, turnover machine or something turnover. That was his nickname.
And that's the thing. I had him on my fantasy team while like in my IDP league, and that's where I started to get those like, who the heck is this dude? Now note where he isn't known, and he did come out of nowhere. I don't think he's gonna command Levante David money. This is the type of player I think the Dallas Cowboys really go for, and that's why I have Eric Wilson going to the Dallas Cowboys.
Now, Eric got his spot in the starting lineup because Anthony Barr suffered a season-ending injury early in the season, so Wilson got thrown into that defense as a starter. Now, the defense struggled for quite a bit over this past year. A lot of struggles. Wilson was one of those bright spots. Now,
and let's be honest, he's probably going to stay.
No, actually, I don't think he is. You've got Eric Kendricks. You got Anthony Barr already at linebacker. I don't think you signed Wilson to put him back on the bench.
You don't think Barr's a cap casualty?
They may restructure. I don't think he's going to be a casualty. I think they'll restructure.
So where do you got Wilson going?
Yeah, so he's going to take his game. I got him going to the Buffalo Bills because I think Buffalo's going to lose Matt Milano. And Wilson has similar skills, a cheaper option. Now, the one caveat I do have about Wilson is that he had a lot of missed tackles that really hurt the run game. So he's got to step up with that run defense.
This is true.
But I think Buffalo, he can do good there.
Now, speaking of Matt Milano, he's our player that's up next. And here's the thing. I can't put him to the team that I would have normally put him to, because that team has no cap. So I'm going to have him go to a different rival, stay in the state of New York.
Ooh.
So I was going to have Matt Milano go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Instead, he's going to the New York Giants, another team that still needs linebackers, just like Philly. But New York, unlike Philly, has money to spend.
Yeah, Matt Milano, he's a solid player. He's a steady player. He's not a star player. Now, he battled through some injuries last year, but he put up pretty good numbers in 10 games. 45 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 interception. I know a team is going to sign him for his coverage skills rather than that run defense skill. Now, he does have quite a few missed tackles as well, like we were just talking about with Eric Wilson, so that's a really bad thing for defenders. But he's likely to leave Buffalo since their cap is not in a good spot. He's likely to command starter money. He's going to be considered one of the better linebackers available just because it's a combination of skill and age. I have him going to one of the teams that ranked one of the worst ranked teams in the linebackers and defense last year, Detroit Lions.
That makes sense. We both have someone going to the Detroit Lions.
They need help. They really do.
Now, for our next player, this guy, I would have actually, instead of Wilson, had this player going to the Cowboys, but I don't think they can afford him. I think Jerron Brown is going to go to a place that has money. Jerron Brown, fantastic linebacker, quick, speedy, and the team I have him going to is the Miami Dolphins. I think he would fit in that system really nicely. I think he'd be a solid addition, and I just see that coach getting that more out of him than he's already has. Go from one New England coach to another.
Oh, very nice. Well, I have him staying in the AFC East. I have him going to the New York Jets. The Jets are a team where the linebackers they've been pretty poor with coverage these past couple of years, and that's one of the things that Jayon Brown's known mostly for is when he drops into coverage, that's where he's at his most valuable. I mean, he can rush the passer, but Tennessee didn't give him any opportunities to do that. They dropped him into coverage so often. He's good at tackling, but that pass defense for the Jets with the linebackers, you got to get better there. They got money to spend. They'll pay him what he wants.
True. I think he's gonna want to play for a contender. I think he's, that's just my thoughts. And I know Miami, but they're further along than the Jets. Let's just say that.
I like to see how the free agency shapes out for the Jets. They got a lot of money to spend. I want to see how that works.
True. All right. So next guy, Denzel Perriman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Denzel Perriman, I struggle with this guy. I mean, he's getting older, solid dude, but I struggle to find a fit for him someplace. And one place I'm sorry, Denzel, I'm gonna send you to a place to die.
No.
And that would be the Houston Texans.
Oh man, I hope Denzel doesn't listen to us. He's gonna be really upset.
Because they could utilize his skill set really well in that particular defense.
Yeah, it's a very real possibility that he leaves the Chargers just because of the depth that they have at linebacker. Now, some of the players that we've been talking about already, they've been known more for their coverage skills. Now, with off-ball linebackers, you're looking for people who can cover, but you also have run stoppers, and that's where Denzel makes his money. He is an excellent run stopper, and he's going to have one of those roles where he's going to be an early down player, maybe play the first 2 downs, run stuffer, and then he comes off the field during those pass rush scenarios. So he's shown some durability issues. He's never been able to play a full 16 games, but when he does play, he's pretty solid. I have him going to a team that could use some help with the run stopping. I think a couple of years ago they were interested, but they didn't get him. He went to the Chargers, but I think Green Bay Packers. Yes.
I thought about the Packers, but they also need coverage help. All right, so our next guy, this was my easiest one. KJ Wright? Because I mean, let's be honest. There's his former defensive coordinator out there on a different team, and there's a head coach that you know would love him. A head coach GM combination that would love him. So yes, I've got KJ Wright going to the fantasy land known as the Las Vegas Raiders. Going back with Gus Bradley over there.
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking that he's going to leave. He's already told Seattle, or he hasn't told them directly, but he's already said he's not taking a hometown discount to stay in Seattle. And I think his exact words were, "I do too much." So, ooh, those are some words right there. I mean, overall, he's a solid all-around player. He's getting up there in age. I mean, like 30s. Wow, that's up there in age. I feel really old saying that one. But he has shown some signs of decline, but he's still doing pretty solid. I have him going to one of the worst linebacking units. I have him going to the Carolina Panthers because they may not have money for Milano, they may not have money for Jayon Brown, but I think KJ Wright's going to come a little bit cheaper, and there's a connection there because Carolina's new GM, Scott Fitterer, used to serve in Seattle's front office when KJ Wright was drafted. So I think we got a little connection there. Carolina. And get Deshaun Watson.
All right, so our next guy is another guy with a love for Dallas, but I think he's going to cost too much. I just do. It's just how it goes sometimes, you know. My team likes those bargain guys. And that's Devonte Campbell. Now, I have Devonte Campbell going to a team. Now, it's going to get a lot colder where I got him going. He's only played at warm spots. So we'll see how this works out for him. But I have him going to the Cleveland Browns.
I can see that. I do have him staying in warmer climate. Now, it's funny, Devondre Campbell, he's claimed himself to be one of the best cover linebackers in the NFL, and that he can take on any tight end man-to-man. However, the stats don't quite support this. You know, he had three decent seasons with Atlanta. He signed a one-year prove-it deal with Arizona last year, betting on himself. He put up good numbers, but I think a lot of that was because Chandler Jones was injured. He had that chance to step up and step in.
True.
I've heard him described as jack of all trades, master of none. Oh, man. So he'll be able to provide starter quality play for some team, just not the Cardinals. If that wasn't clear already, it's very clear with J.J. Watt signing in Arizona. I think that's signaling the end for him. And they also have somebody else waiting in the wings.
Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, see what I did there? That was a bird pun. You get that one? Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, he's ready to step up and step in. So I have Devondre Campbell staying in the division. I have him staying in a warm climate, going to the Los Angeles Rams. So they're a team that also needs linebacker help. I mean, they're in a tough spot with the cap currently, but I'm going to put that on Les Snead to figure out. He can call me if he wants more help and advice, but, you know, it's going to cost this time. No more free stuff for him.
Sean, which team you got him going to?
Los Angeles Rams.
No, we'll just continue off that. I'm just going to edit that out. Yes, the Los Angeles Rams, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, we'll see how those LA Rams can keep things going. They had a resurgence last year, and Devondre would go a long way to keeping that going.
Yeah, that definitely helped that defense. I mean, look at that NFC West. That is probably going to become one of the strongest divisions in football, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You got Nick Bosa and that San Francisco defense that's coming back healthy this year. You've got J.J. Watts on that Arizona Cardinal team. Carlos Dunlap in the Seattle Seahawks. You have Aaron Donald in the Rams. That's gonna be a good fight this year. That's some TV that you want to watch. Again, I
All
feel
right,
bad
so-
for those quarterbacks in that division, though.
All right, so just to show off our lists, so here's my list that I've put up. Every player that I've gone to another team. We got Sean's list right here. Soak it in. All right, I think we flowed a little bit better this week. You know, had some. You know, we're starting to get the hang of things here, or maybe it could be the sound.
What? Sound, video, you know, it's all coming together now. We're almost big time. I said almost. Almost.
We'll wait till we get those backdrops. All right. Well, I think we're gonna call it for the evening here. Thank you for listening to us, our people who do listen. We do appreciate you. Please reach out to us or wherever you can reach out to us. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. I myself, my Twitter and Instagram are Ush Elliott. You can find me there. Sean, tell them what your Instagram handle is.
Instagram. Yeah, I do have that now. The Cat Daddy. If you haven't seen, if you haven't heard,
Daddy, no.
I know I've had some cats running around here recently, so today's been a good day. I think they're napping at this point, so we're good.
All right, so we're just gonna leave you here. Sean, lay down them words of wisdom for the people.
Words of wisdom. It's almost April 15th, people. Get your taxes filed. Don't wait.
Oh yeah, that's some good wisdom. You know what I'm saying? My words are: when you're walking on ice, short, choppy steps. Just saying.
That's solid.
Do not run.
I practiced that.